Portman is a man who understands the ins and outs of budgets better than just about anyone. Before he became senator representing the state of Ohio, he was the budget director for President George W. Bush. We welcome Senator Portman now from Capitol Hill. Welcome back to the program, Senator. Good to have you here.
David, good to be back with you. A
lot of the action at the moment seems to be going on the House side, but you understand this terribly well. And from all the reports we've seen, and I know you know from inside the Republican caucus, a big issue is how you're going to pay for the various cuts that have been proposed. Where are we on pay-fors from your point of view?
Well, I think we're on track. I mean, we have set up a process here where there will be a $1.5 trillion net tax cut over the next 10 years. That's out of about $43 trillion of revenue coming in. It means that you would need about a 0.4% increase in the GDP, the growth of the country, during that time period in order to accommodate that so there wasn't a deficit impact. And within that framework, I think we're on track. Now, it means that we're going to have to make some tough decisions because we are lowering rates for individuals. Middle-class tax cut is very important. We are lowering rates for small businesses, the smaller pass-through companies, to 25% from whatever the individual rate is now. And we're also lowering, of course, the C corporation rate, which we have to do to make our American workers competitive. So there's some tough choices to be made, but we're on track to make them.
So, Senator Portman, a key word you used there was the net effect. As I understand it, and I wonder if you've seen numbers, if you took the total number of cuts that are being talked about, it could approach the level of $5 trillion, which would leave you with a $3.5 trillion gap to get down to your 1.5. Are those numbers realistic?
Yes, I think they are. And again, we're spending hours on this and making sure that we're doing this in a smart way. What you don't want to do, David, as you know, is end up making changes in the tax code to try to lower the rate that are actually not positive in terms of economic growth, and it actually would hurt American workers. As an example, in some proposals in the past, there has been a reduction in the depreciation schedule, so harder to write something off when you buy a new plant or equipment. We're not going that way. We're looking more at the kinds of offsets that will be not affecting economic growth, so that you both have a lower rate and some pro-growth aspects to what you're doing in terms of the offsets. And the alternative is, to do something that just keeps the economy flat. That's not the idea here. What we want to do is actually give the economy a shot in the arm, and specifically to help with regard to the biggest challenge we currently face, in my view, which is just to get wages back up again. And we're starting to see a little growth, as you've seen in the numbers the last couple of months. But frankly, that's been our big issue, not just in the last few years, but really in the last couple of decades.
Senator, one of the key decisions that House Republicans appear to have made is to keep the tax rate for individual income in individual homes that make more than $1 million at 39.6%. This could meet some resistance from conservative Republicans who want to see a tax cut across the board. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I stand with where the framework is, which is to say that there will not be a reduction in the share of taxes that people at the top end pay. That's what we committed to. That's what we need to keep to. It's not the idea to provide tax relief at the top end, but it is the idea to get this economy moving. So we don't want to do things that are anti-growth. We want to do things that are actually pro-growth. So I think what you'll see in the end is the rates may differ, but what you'll see is that the share of taxation, the top 10% now pay about 70% of the taxes. The top 1% pays almost 40% of the taxes, and I think you'll see that continue. I think you'll see the share continue and not be reduced.
Senator, a final question on the Fed chair. The president took you all into a room and asked you to put your hand up on who you liked. Who did you put your hand up for?
Well, I wasn't aware that he did that. I heard it reported that he did it, and I was in the room. I must have missed it. But look, I think he's got a few very, very good choices. I like John Taylor a lot. Powell's got a good reputation. I mean, there's some very good people out there, and I think, you talked earlier, I heard in the program about the uncertainty about monetary policy. It's a difficult job right now. You've got to balance, a lot of different factors globally, and so I'm sure he'll pick somebody with a lot of experience, which is what's needed, and somebody who's willing to be innovative. In other words, as things change, you have to show some flexibility in that job.
Senator, if he gave Chair Yellen a second term, would you support that?
I'm sorry, say it again? If
he gave Chair Yellen a second term, would you support that?
Well, look, I would support the administration if they lay out the reasons why in a way that's compelling. I think she's done a pretty good job, frankly, in, again, trying to guide the Fed through some tumultuous times.